I'm Batman.
Easy, miss. I've got you.
You've got me? Who's got you?
Mr. McGee, don't make me angry. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry.
I'm a doctor. But probably not the one you expect.
I'm Captain Kirk.
Welcome everyone to the special Geek This Week presentation, and this is the Shazam 1970s TV series panel from Pensacon 2020 at the Rex Theater in downtown Pensacola, Florida. This panel includes Michael Gray, who played Billy Batson, and John Davey, who played Captain Marvel in seasons 2 and 3 of the Shazam TV series. They will during this panel they talk about their time during filming Shazam, what it was like working for Filmation, the filming schedule, and much more. So please sit back and enjoy the Shazam TV series 70s panel, and check out all the other great panels on the Geek This Week YouTube channel, and much more. And thank you guys for your support, and hope you enjoy. Please leave a like on this video.
When DC relaunched the Captain Marvel character in the book Shazam in 1973, and the reason they had to call it Shazam and not Captain Marvel is another whole thing we won't get into, the time seemed right for a TV version of the character. The show hit the air in 1974, ran for 3 seasons, and before getting the part of Billy Batson, this guy landed guest shots on shows like Marcus Welby, The Flying Nun, The Brady Bunch, Michael Gray. And before donning the red and yellow costume in the 2nd season of the show, this actor had spots on Perry Mason, Ironside. What is Raymond Burr really like? The Mod Squad, The Odd Couple. Let's welcome Captain Marvel himself, John Davey. Guys, thank you so much for coming, and welcome to Pensacon. Hope you're having a good convention.
Pleasure being here.
I'd like to first get started. Just how did you each get involved in the show?
Okay, I'll start. All right. He has to agree with me. If I don't say Shazam, he doesn't appear. My career started like some of the things he said, small parts in a lot of TV work. And then I was doing a series with Brian Keith and Shelley from Bray in Hawaii called The Little People, or The Brian Keith Show. And the 2nd season, they changed the format, so I wasn't working. And I did an episode of The Brady Bunch. And about a month later, I got a call from Filmation Studios and CBS asking if I would appear in a Saturday morning show called Shazam. So I said, certainly. So I drove out to Filmation. I walked in. Les Tremaine was sitting in the waiting room with me. And neither one of us auditioned. We just were put in the part and had a lot of fun doing it. And it really is a major part of my career, just being Billy Batson. I'm very happy I did it. And now we have a resurgence, and I'm thrilled about it. I get to work with John again.
Lucky you. Well, my lead into working as Captain Marvel consisted of a few years of just kind of working here and there on episodic television or a couple of films. And on that fateful day, my agent, I was in my apartment with my son, 8-year-old son, and my agent called and said they want you out in Topanga Canyon. Filmation is doing a show called Shazam, and they want you out there ASAP. So I wasn't even aware that there was a Saturday morning show called Shazam. I was aware of Captain Marvel because I read Captain Marvel Flooding when I was a kid. So when he laid this on me, I was torn because I thought, well, this has got to be something like Mr. Rogers or something. And I thought, this is not, well, you know, a room full of kids throwing things at you and whatnot. So I said, let me just think about it. He said, well, don't think too long because they're waiting for you. So
So I called up a couple of friends, and they were aware of the show because they had children. And meanwhile, my son is sitting here wondering what's going on, and so I said, "Tom, are you aware of a show called Shazam on Saturday morning?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "They want me to play Captain Marvel. What do you think?" He said, "Oh, well, I mean, he just came on completely unglued, you know." So I called my agent back and said, I don't know what this is all about, but if my son can, if I can do something to make him that happy, that quick, where do I go? Give me the directions. So I go out to Topanga Canyon. Meanwhile, I had a mustache. So I had to shave the mustache before I left my apartment. And it happened to be in the middle of summer, so I had a tan face, a big white handlebar. And anyway, I showed up. So I'd say within an hour and a half or 2 hours of the first phone call, I was in costume, and I was still kind of stunned and in shock. And luckily, Michael and Les Tremaine took me under their wing and just kind of kept me from bumping into the furniture. And I did the next 2 seasons with him. It was a wonderful, wonderful experience. I'm really proud to have been part of it.
And you kept the makeup people busy with your upper lip, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, they just swipe it. They didn't do it too much, so you kind of swipe the rag over it.
Has the new movie last year, has that really made more interest in the old TV show? Has it been coming back?
It seems to have, yes.
Yeah, the resurgence is amazing because it had been many, many years since I had done Shazam, really, and I had trouble getting more work because I was typecast. Yeah, you're Billy Batson, we can't cast you in this. So with the resurgence of Shazam, actually goes back 2012, when Warner Brothers was at San Diego Comic-Con and they were announcing the release of Shazam on DVD. They just acquired the rights to it in 2012. So I went down there with them to help promote it. And then 2019, the Shazam movie came out. So now DC Universe is streaming it. Warner Brothers just released it again in Blu-ray, so the resurgence is fantastic. And we're out on the road again, doing personal appearances, which we love doing. We did the car show circuit back in the 70s.
Okay.
Now we're doing the cons. We love it.
Once again, your questions are more than welcome, and anytime you'd like to, raise your hand or come to the microphone, and we'll certainly take it. You had a little bit of a resurgence, too, because you appeared in Archer.
I did, yeah. Well, that's an interesting story. A few years ago, my son had called and said, "Do you know, they just mentioned you on Archer?" And I wasn't even watching Archer at the time, and I didn't know they mentioned me on Archer. They did. Archer was out by the pool with Lana, and he was having a memory problem. And he said, "What was the name of that guy that played Billy Batson on Shazam?" "Oh, it was Michael Gray, that was his name." So I contacted Adam Reed, the executive producer and creator of Archer, thanked him for that. We talked for a while. He's a Shazam fan. I didn't know that. So he made Archer a Shazam fan. So we talked, and he asked if I want to be on the show. I said yes. I did 2 episodes a couple of years ago, playing TV's Michael Gray. I did 2 more this year, playing TV's Michael Gray. And I'm going to talk about next season as well. It's all because of Shazam. So Archer is another resurgence for me, and it's a lot of fun. I like doing it. So when I introduce sometimes, they say, "What's your name?" I say, "Well, you can call me Michael, you can call me Billy Batson, you can call me TV's Michael Gray. Just call, it doesn't matter." I have a lot of names.
In fact, I wrote down TV's Michael Gray. I almost said it. I said, I'll let you do that. There was an awful lot of veteran talent behind that show. And I wrote down one name because he's just Hollingsworth Morse.
Yeah.
He directed most of your shows. What did you get out of that guy? Because he's the history of TV right there.
He is. Holly was an amazing director. He goes way back. the days of Lassie, and stuff before that as well. And after Shazam, he did a lot of episodes of Dukes of Hazzard. Holly was great, and his wife was Sandra Gould, and she was on Bewitched, played Mrs. Kravitz, the second Mrs. Kravitz. Holly was a great guy. He was just a phenomenal director. The whole crew and all the directors that worked on Shazam were the best. They just had a lot of professional experience.
And interesting for, you know, a quote-unquote kid show for Saturday morning. That they would bring in that caliber of talent.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Including yourselves, I might add.
Oh, thank you.
Was there any trepidation about, no, sorry about the big word, about taking over taking over the part of Captain Marvel from someone else in the second season?
There was tremendous trepidation.
That's what, you can have the word for free. That's it.
Yeah, as I said, I was kind of in a state of shock for the first 3 or 4 hours I was on the show. Whatever happened between Jackson Weisberg, who was the first actor to be in that role, I didn't know. I heard all kinds of rumors flying around while I was trying to suck my gut in and not.
Spandex is unforgiving.
Yeah, unforgiving, absolutely. But I didn't really have enough time to think about what I was, whose place I was taking. I just had to concentrate on doing what I could myself.
I think the thought back then was, well, kids won't notice. Did they notice?
They did. I guess they didn't notice as much as I thought they would. But I know when I did a few personal appearances while the show was being filmed, I went to a couple of places where that's like I'd be appearing on a Saturday afternoon, and that Saturday morning show was with Jackson Weisberg. So they just got through watching Jackson Weisberg in the morning, and then they go to the afternoon show, and there I am, and they're going like, huh? So it was a little awkward there for a while, but it all worked itself out.
It certainly did. They had 2 very good seasons. There was a companion show too, which I guess they couldn't make this show today, called The Secrets of Isis, but you did appear on that show as Captain Marvel too, right?
I did 3 or 4 episodes of Isis.
Mm-hmm. And how did you get that? How did you get? Was it just the same storyline, same characters?
Oh yes, I was Captain Marvel, and she was Joanna Cameron played Isis, and it was basically the same thing. Kids getting themselves in trouble, and then either Isis and Captain Marvel teaming up to save the day.
When you started the part of Billy Batson was a character that people read comic books in the 40s, and then it went away, and it had just come back. How did you prepare for something like that, or did you just read the scripts?
I read the script. When I was a kid, I was a Superman fan.
Oh, okay.
A lot of Superman comics, and I watched George Reeves play Superman. So I studied the scripts carefully, and just as an actor, I got into character and played Billy Batson. I was playing a 16-year-old kid. I was well into my 20s, playing 16. So you gotta do what you gotta do. I had to shave twice a day sometimes. The director would come up and say, "You gotta shave, the beard's showing." So I was back to 16 around 1 o'clock in the afternoon after I shaved.
Okay. Got any questions here?
I do.
Come on up.
First of all, Joel Burke, going to traffic from St. Louis. Love the show. Grew up watching it, and ISIS. And I guess you're like the second Darren, from which there's 2 Captain Marvels. You're one of the Captain Marvels, which I thought was great. You mentioned the script, and something I've always been curious about. How much influence did the DC comic writers have in the writing of the script, or did you know that? I just wonder.
Well, DC had a lot to do with it. We also had a child psychologist on the set every day, because every show had a moral value. So the psychologist would make sure everything was written correctly and properly. And occasionally there was a set change or a script change early in the morning. We had to learn the lines again. But everything was appropriate and morally correct back then, and as it should have been. Yeah.
Another of your co-stars, of course, is no longer with us, Les Tremayne.
Yeah.
Again, another, you look at his resume, and it's the history of television. How was it working with him?
Well, I had like learning from and watching, and I worked with a lot of legends in my career. When I walked in the office of Filmation that day and saw Les, my jaw dropped. Because Les was a star before there was television. He was one of the biggest radio stars way back when, literally before there was television. Les starred in the original World of Worlds. He was in North by Northwest with Cary Grant. So he was a true legend, great actor. And when I work with people of that caliber, I just love it because I learn from them. And he was a gentleman, he was a kind guy, he was just a sweet guy. He made it to about 91 and passed away, unfortunately, but he was like a second father to me. He was a great guy.
And had a voice.
Yeah.
Oh, incredible.
Yeah.
As a radio guy, I was envious of
Yeah.
that voice. Yes.
Yeah, he had a fabulous voice, very recognizable, big time.
And really, his character was created just for the TV show.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Sure. You.
Was there any, I know it was only a 30-minute show, but was there any blooper or any kind of funny thing that sticks out in your head while you were shooting, something crazy that might have happened?
There were a lot.
Michael has some great stories about it.
Yeah, unfortunately the blooper, or Christmas reel as they call it, vanished. No one knows where it is. But there was stuff on there, it wasn't appropriate for Saturday morning TV. There was a lot of funny stuff too. The first couple of episodes when I said Shazam, they had the transition to Captain Marvel, they had a different way of doing it. There was a strip on the ground, had gunpowder on it. So I would say Shazam, when the technician would hit the button, thing would ignite, smoke would come up. So one episode, we only did it for a couple episodes because I got singed, so they said, not doing this again. But one of the episodes I said Shazam, when the smoke cleared, Les Tremayne was standing there in Captain Marvel's outfit. With smoke all around him, that was pretty funny. Another episode, Les was up in a tree, sitting on a branch, watching what was going on, and no one's knowledge, but he was such a good actor, red ants were crawling up his legs. He was getting eaten alive by red ants, but Les being a pro, didn't break character. A lot of funny things we did on the show. See if I can clean it up a little bit. We shot everything outdoors all the time, literally on location. Sometimes 105-degree temperature. So one day we were in the motorhome, and it was about 105 out, and it was so hot, with the lights outside of the van, also the windows cracked, the windshield cracked open. So Les, in character, looked over at me and said, "Jesus, Billy, what the F was that?" And I said, "I don't know, Mentor, but sure scared the S out of me." So I heard the director say, "Cut, can't do that." So you can tell about your car if you want.
Oh.
Talk about blooper or whatever.
Well, one of the first things I did with my first check, I went down to the Fiat dealership and bought a really cute little X19 Fiat sports car, and drove it to work on location in the morning, and we worked all day and were getting ready to wrap up the day, and I looked over and I saw my car. It had rocks piled all over it. And I thought, what the? Then I realized that the great minds of Les Tremayne and Mike combined to, they laid some canvas padding on my car first, and then they added the rocks. So it didn't do any harm to my car, but it really, well, you can imagine. I mean, I thought, so, that was typical. That was always going on.
We were just welcoming them to the show.
How is that, getting used to working? You were, first season you had one Captain Marvel, then you had a second Captain Marvel. Whether they take adjustments to get you two in sync?
They like me better.
Well, just as a professional, you just deal with what they do. Actors never have anything to say with anything on the show. It's all up to the producers and executive producers. So what had happened was we had gotten set, I think it was a Monday morning, and Les and I are sitting there waiting, and there's no Jackson. So all of a sudden a car pulled up, and 2 executive producers get out and said, "Michael, this is John Davey," and Les, "This is John Davey, the new Captain Marvel." I said, "What?" So we didn't expect it. We didn't know anything had happened. We knew John got injured supposedly in a stunt, and we had heard different stories like he heard too, why he wasn't there anymore. We heard he got fired. We didn't know what the true story was, except I know he got hurt. And he was fired, probably wasn't appropriate, but there are other sides of the story too I've heard, so I don't know. So we just got, a new Captain Marvel, and we dealt with it. That was it.
Part of the family.
Yep.
Yeah,
Exactly.
One of the funny things was, after that first day, after I had finished shooting, and my son was still in just agog over all the activity that was going on, and then we sidled up and drove back home, back to the apartment, and he said, "Dad, can I call one of my friends?" I said, "Sure." So he called his friends. He says, "Guess what? My dad's Captain Marvel. The real Captain Marvel got fired." So I wasn't even the real Captain Marvel for him.
You had a very small regular cast. You had very few recurring characters, and you were always bringing in guest stars too. So it must have really made that small core very, very close knit.
Yeah, it did. Yeah. And we had some great guest stars in that show. We really did. Phenomenal talent. A lot of very talented actors and actresses. Yeah.
Okay, right over here.
First off, thanks for making a show that, as a kid growing up in second grade who was Shazam for Halloween, having role models that could, give you the courage to do the right thing and know that doing the right thing was cool back in those days. So thanks for helping me grow up and watching you guys on TV. But throughout the years, how easy or how hard was it for you guys kind of sticking together and you're doing this stuff now? But, did you guys kind of drift off on your own and then kind of find each other, or were you kind of all friends throughout the decades?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, we kind of drifted off and then drifted back together again.
Yeah. And it's fun hanging out with them again. It really is.
Yeah. I think it was October of 2017. I got a call from Mike. We kept in touch over the years, but he was living in Southern California doing his thing, and I was living in Northern California doing mine. And I get a phone call, and it's Mike, and he says, "Hey, you want to do a Comic-Con?" Yeah. Once he explained to me what a Comic-Con was, I said, "What the heck, sure, why not?" So we did a Comic-Con. The first one was called the Hollywood Show. That was in L.A. And then we've been all over doing Comic-Cons since then. It's been great. I've enjoyed every minute of it, except for the airport part.
Yeah. But the fun thing about doing Comic-Cons for the fans is seeing both of us. I did a couple by myself, and so did he, but the fans and the Comic-Con owners and promoters want the two of us together. It's more fun that way.
Are you surprised at the passion that some of these fans still have for this show?
Yeah, it's really heartwarming. I mean, I've answered this question many times doing these shows, because I get a lot of guys, guys and girls that come up to me in their mid to late 50s, said, "You don't have no idea how much the show meant to me, because I had a horrible childhood. I was abused, my parents were alcoholics or whatever, I was bullied at school. But every Saturday morning with my bowl of cereal, I sat down there, it was my escape. And you made me the person I am today, and thank you for it." And I love hearing that. I didn't realize at the time how meaningful this show would be to people. It was great. And now these people are showing it to their grandchildren and their children, because you can see it on DC Universe and get it through Warner Brothers, so it's fun again. Yep.
When did you find out that they were going to be putting that on DC Universe?
Well, when I was, I was invited by Warner Brothers to go down to WonderCon in Anaheim to promote the fact that DC Universe was going to stream it. I didn't know until that time, and that was last year. I think it was last February, I believe. So that's when I first found out about it, and they showed scenes from streaming, which is now in HD. It was better quality than when we shot it, to be honest with you. It's amazing. So that's when I found out about it, and it's just getting bigger and bigger and growing again, 40-something years later. It's fun.
And is that when the calls from the cons started coming a little sooner, a little more frequently?
Exactly, yeah. Yes, yeah.
All right, anybody else? Back there. You can just shout it out if you want.
Yeah, you guys kind of were the spearhead for that stuff that happened in the 70s. You had Wonder Woman that came out mid-70s, Incredible Hulk, obviously Marvel, sorry. Superman came out in 78, I guess the year after the ISIS. You guys were kind of right the precursor to that. You did watching, the special effects were pretty good. I mean, did you were ever told that you helped precipitate any of that stuff, you think? Because you guys came out in 73, I think? And all the other stuff kind of just fell into place, even though you're a kid show. You know, that mid-70s era kind of had a lot of that stuff come up. Do you know if that ever influenced, like, you guys were kind of the first and was well received and any influence of some stuff that came up?
You guys were kind of between Batman and then Wonder Woman.
Exactly.
Yeah. So have you heard that you know, maybe you spearheaded the resurgence of all the superhero shows that came after you in the 70s?
I've heard that, yes. Yeah, I mean, you have it. I did hear that,
well,
yeah.
You have now.
Yeah, now we have it, yes.
Well, now I'm feeling real good about this.
Yeah.
I didn't know I was a spearheader.
Shazam's not supposed to have an ego.
Uh-oh. Yeah, too bad.
That's funny.
Okay, now we're ruining people's childhoods here. Right.
Yes, last year, actually a few months ago, CW's Arrowverse did the Crisis on Infinite Earths, and a lot of different shows, characters from shows had cameos, like Burt Ward from Batman. Were either one of you contacted to do a cameo for the crossover?
We were not. And I knew Burt from the old auto show days and stuff, and I was told by a lot of Shazam fans they had contacted CW and asked them to put us on it. And another friend of mine writes comics for Wonder Woman, and he also contacted them, and he was very upset with them actually, because they never even responded. That's like Shazam cameos in the movie. We had so many people contact Warner Brothers and DC about putting us in the cameos in the movie, and they didn't respond. And now there's part 2 coming out, Shazam 2. Same thing's happening again. I mean, I have guys that I know at DC Universe, because I did DC Daily, they're contacting the theatrical people at Warner's and DC about giving us cameos, and just no response. So
that's a shame.
We're going to give them one more chance.
The fans want to see us in camp. That's one of the reasons I saw the Hulk. I wanted to see Lou Ferrigno, and I did. He walked across the screen in a security guard's outfit. That's one of the reasons I went to the movie. So I get it. Hopefully it happens again. We don't know, but nothing on either one of them. No response.
Everybody here has email. You know what to do.
So in regards to the 2019 Shazam, do you feel that captured the spirit of who Shazam was, or who was intended to be at the outset?
I didn't hear you, I'm sorry.
In regards to the 2019 Shazam film, do you feel that movie captured the spirit of what Shazam was intended to be?
Well, to begin with, I saw the movie. A lot of Shazam fans, like myself as well, I expected it to be different. I expected it to be more like the series, but it wasn't. It was more of a comedy. I found it very entertaining. I liked it. It was different. things change. And the cool thing about it too, we did Denver Pop Culture Con, and we got to sit down next to Zach Levi and Asher Angel, meet them both, hung out with them, had pictures taken together. Both nice guys. We enjoyed the movie, just was different. But, you know, not what I expected, but I still enjoyed it. It was a funny movie.
Do you wish you had their budget when you were doing your show?
Yeah.
I wish I had their salary.
Yeah. Back in the 70s, budgets were very low. We didn't get paid a lot, obviously. And that's one of the reasons Shazam was taken off. Not because of our salary, just the production costs got too high for Saturday morning TV. They took it off the air. So it would have been great to have a budget like that. We'd still be on the air, probably.
Was there any talk of putting it on prime time, or was it always going to be Saturday morning?
I heard a few conversations about possibly taking it under prime time, but by the time those discussions were going on, it was off the air.
And then they did Wonder Woman, and wow, yeah, superheroes in primetime work.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah.
Anybody else? Right back there.
I heard you mention script revisions earlier. What was your typical work week schedule like? I mean, I know it's only a 30-minute show, but I think a lot of people don't understand how much time goes into making a 30-minute show. Can you give us a rundown of what the week was like?
Yeah, I'll start. I get up 4:30 in the morning, get in my car and drive to location, be there at 6 o'clock in the morning, and we work pretty much until sundown. So sometimes 15, 16-hour days. And we shot 2 episodes a week. So it's 2.5 days per episode. It was pretty tough. So sometimes you forget the lines, you're doing 1 episode, and that's a line from the last episode. So, yeah, acting in a series is not easy. And everything's hurry up and wait. Get out there, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. And sit down and relax. We're not doing it for 2 hours. Okay. So it's not as easy as people think.
We were on location in Ventura, Channel Islands, around Ventura there. And a buddy of mine came up to visit me just to watch an episode being shot. And by the time, I mean, they were dragging me through the water, some kind of jury man, what's that term for jury
rigged up?
Jury rigged, yeah. Jury rigged up surfboard. It was being towed behind a boat, but it gave the impression that I was swimming that fast. Just shooting through it. They did this for a couple of hours, and I'm running, and I'm doing this and that, and finally it was like getting close to sundown, so they called a wrap. And this buddy of mine and I went out to dinner, and he said, "Jesus, I didn't realize you actually worked for a living." Well, I was totally exhausted the other day.
So 2 shows a week?
2 shows a week, yeah.
I take it you didn't have rehearsal time?
Not really, no.
Not really.
And sometimes you'd end up on the set, and like I say, 6 o'clock in the morning, they hand you a brand new script. So, oh, we rewrote it last night, by the way. Go in your dressing room and learn it. Okay. Yeah. Speaking about location, we shot at a real creepy place one time. If you saw Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, we shot an episode of Shazam on Spahn Ranch one time where the Manson family stayed. It's pretty creepy.
They weren't around by then, though, were they?
Well, they were gone, yeah, because they were in 1969 when they committed the murders, but this was 74, and like, it was still pretty creepy, knowing they were there once.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have a favorite episode?
I do. Mine was Little Boy Lost. My favorite. The little boy was so cute. He had a little puppy, was so cute. And it was just a great story about a little boy who has some mental problems. And just, again, the moral values of that show were fantastic. We love the writers. That's one of my favorite episodes.
Well, you know my favorite episode?
I do.
Double Trouble.
Oh, okay.
Because it was about me.
How popular was your son after you got that job?
Oh, man. I took him out to a park just a couple of days after I got the job, and and I said, Tom, just do me a favor, let's just keep it between you and I about the Captain Marvel thing, because, you know, it could cause a ruckus here, you know. He said, okay, don't worry, Dad, I won't tell anybody. So he goes over and he's playing with these 3 or 4 kids, and I'm just kind of, I had a book I was reading, and I just kind of glanced over it, and he was, and he's talking to these kids, and all of a sudden, all 4 heads just go, and they all came charging me. So he couldn't keep a secret.
Did you ever have any desire to put the costume on?
Yes, I did one time, actually. It looked ridiculous. Yeah. That was like an episode of The Little People I did. Alex Karras was a guest star one time in the show. Football player Alex Karras. I put his jersey on. Same thing. Look, I was in a sleeping bag. So.
Well, most people would look like that with Alex Karras' jersey.
Yeah.
Alex Karras played Mongo in Blazing Saddles. Punched the horse. That's a big fella. Big fella. Right here.
When you had your moment where you spoke with all the gods, were you like standing in like a blue or a green room, or you just had to stand there and they drew in all the pictures?
We initially shot it in a sound stage. So when I was on location and I had to, I'd say, you know, the brazier would go off, and I would talk to the elders. They would flash back to those days in the sound stage, and then cut back to me on location.
So you did that all on set beforehand?
Yeah, yeah. It was always the same thing. Then they just put the words in different. Yeah.
Oh, it was the same shot every time?
The same shot every time. But the elders, you didn't see the lips moving, you couldn't see what they were saying. And then the new dialogue would be there. So they would go back to that same shot of me in front of a green screen.
You weren't kidding about your budget, were you?
No.
So whatever happened to the motorhome after the series was over?
Good question. Nobody knows.
Not the ones in Breaking Bad.
It vanished. It just vanished. No one knows. It's probably sitting in someone's garage, a car collector somewhere, or whatever. But if we knew where it was, we'd like to bring it to cons. It'd be fun. We don't know what happened to it.
Check out eBay. Anybody else?
Yeah, I have one last question. Now, Captain Marvel, when he came back out in the 70s, so, I mean, you said your son was pretty popular because of being known, but I mean, he had just come back into being known because they had taken away the lawsuit and whatnot. Since Captain Marvel, the comic had just come out like in 1970, he was pretty well known by the time the TV show came out and whatnot. I mean, that's like a whole generation that didn't know Captain Marvel from the 50s to like 1970. So the kids kind of picked up on it still and whatnot.
Yeah, in fact, that was my problem. I reflected, when I got that phone call, I reflected back to the comic books I was reading as a kid back in the 50s. But I hadn't had a thought in my head about Captain Marvel until that phone call. So it was a, and I the comic version of Captain Marvel, it wasn't that it didn't reflect what the show he did. I mean, the old comic book is different than the show he did, wasn't it? I mean, the way he became Captain Marvel. Yeah.
And also, John took over in the second season, so the show was pretty much a hit before then. Yeah. One of the, and this has nothing to do with your show, but I'm just interested in this aspect of the acting profession back then, is you did a lot of guest roles on a lot of series, and sometimes you would do the same series year after year, but be different characters. Did that happen? I mean, that happened a lot back then, didn't it?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
What was it? They just liked working with you, or they liked your agent? Or
Yeah, you had to, you know, if you got a job on a series, especially a well-established series like Rockford or Barnaby Jones, they'd give you a shot, but you'd have to do an acceptable job in order to get invited back again the next season.
Yeah. You reach a point, if you were doing a good job, you wouldn't have to audition again. The casting director would just call your agent and say, is John available again? We want him to play another part in the series, because they liked working with him. So that happened a lot.
Yes, because today I don't think that would have, people would say, no, he played that part 2 seasons ago, we can't have him do something else.
That's what happened in my career. You're Billy Batson, you can't do anything else.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. All right, anybody else? One more time? Well, okay, right over here.
How much did your life change, like after all this? Because you're young, you're in Hollywood, you're on the cover of Tiger Beat, and you know, how much did your life change? Was it just crazy after that, while you were in the series?
It was pretty crazy. It reached a point where sometimes I couldn't leave my house. I certainly couldn't go to the market. I mean, there are times people come over to your place and, I lived in a building that had security, so there are people downstairs in the lobby and they try to buzz their way in. If they got in the lobby, they'd call you and say so-and-so's in the lobby. It got pretty scary. There was one incident that they even told the story in Tiger Beat. I was invited to the Osmond Brothers concert at the Forum, and I was like a 5th row center, so we're walking all the way through the Forum, which is a big complex. I think it's 17,000 people or something. I got down to about the 25th row, and that was as far as I got. I got attacked, they're pulling my hair, trying to turn my clothes off. They threw me in a room closet. That's why I watched the concert from a room closet. So it got to the point where it wasn't fun. It was just part of the career, so you got to do what you got to do. Yeah.
Okay, I was impressed before, but you were on the cover of Tiger Beat?
Yeah. Several. At one point, I was on covers of magazines in Europe, too, like Bravo magazine in Germany. I was on the front cover of that one. And it was all because of Burt Reynolds. I played Burt Reynolds' brother in a movie of the week called Run, Simon, Run. Very small part, I played his brother. And the teeny boppers started writing to Tiger Beat saying, who's Michael Gray? We just saw him on a TV show. Can you tell us who he is? So I got a call from Tiger Beat. Would you come and do a photo session for us? We're going to put you in the magazine. Girls are asking for it. I said, okay. So they ran a small little tiny picture inside. More people started writing in, get bigger and bigger and bigger. Next thing you know, I'm on the cover. And it was not just Tiger Beat, it was 16 magazine, Teen magazine, all over the country, really. And that's also one of the reasons why I was no longer on the Little People. Because I didn't star in Little People, it was Brian Keith and Shelley Fabre. And one day, a kid, somebody's son, walked on the set with a Tiger Beat magazine with me on the front cover and said, Michael Gray, star of Little People. Well, I wasn't the star of Little People. And next season, I wasn't on the Little People anymore. Because the stars of Little People were not happy with the fact that I was supposedly the star. So I learned a lot about politics and show business after that. So it was a lot of fun for a while, and then it wasn't fun. If it wasn't for me getting taken off Little People, I wouldn't have gotten Shazam. So it all worked out.
Yeah, Shazam, he would be my buddy.
Yeah, I wanted to sit here.
All right, we got time for one more, if anyone has one.
Sure. Is there any actor or actress that you got to work with during your career in any show that stood out that you were a big fan of that perhaps you were starstruck by?
A lot. I worked with Robert Young and Marcus Welby. A lot of big stars through my career, and the one that stands out most of all was Mae West.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I did a small part in a movie called Myra Breckenridge with Farrah Fawcett, Mae West.
Oh, wow.
Farrah Fawcett I was very impressed with too at that time. But I got to do a scene with Mae West where she was an agent walking through a line of guys, and our titles in the movie were studs. And she was going to pick one to be her client, and the one she picked was Tom Selleck.
Oh, my.
Speaks for itself. Tom has not stopped working since then. That was 1968. So I did get to work with a lot of really cool, amazing stars. It was very, very impressive. Yeah. Legends. Those legends aren't around anymore. It's a little sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had Sally Field, too, right?
I worked with Sally in The Flying Nun, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She was pretty cool. And working with Burt Reynolds was cool, too. It was fun.
Anybody impress you, John, when you were working with some of the people? You can go back to Raymond Burr.
Raymond Burr. No, I wasn't a leading man, so I didn't really get to know most of the leading actresses. I mean, hello in the morning, have a cup of coffee with them or something, but I never really worked with any of the leading ladies of stature. I mean, there were like somebody I admire, like Mariette Hartley. I liked her, very, very accomplished actress and very nice person.
Must be nice doing all those guest shots and then one day, I've got a series. I've got steady work.
Yes. That's what all actors want, have a series.
Yeah,
steady work. It's pretty cool.
All right. Well, you gentlemen are going to be back at your table in the celebrity room, right?
Yes.
Yep. Okay. For the Atari convention, and go on up, say hi, take a picture. Thanks so much, gentlemen. Say thank you for our guests.
I thank you all for coming. Appreciate it.
Thank you. One more Shazam.
He might disappear, but I'll do it. Okay. Oh, well, there's fleet and strong and wise. Appear before my seeking eyes. Billy. Whatever. Shazam!
Not him again.
Transforms in a flash into the mighty